Hello everyone, a very, very warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining us for this special lecture. My name is James Sanderson and it's my absolute pleasure to introduce the incredible Sue Worrall tonight. So Sue is a qualified nutritionist. She's been practicing for 30 years. She's got absolutely huge amounts of experience. She's worked with Olympic athletes. She really is a very, very high profile, extremely experienced person. And of course, she's also been working with Juice Plus in her practice for the last 17 years. So this is really the fascinating story that we're going to hear. But most importantly, we're going to hear a very important topic tonight, which is called the science of Juice Plus. Now, as we go through tonight, you may well have questions. It's certain that you will. And what we're just going to ask is that if you could put any questions you have in the chat box. So you'll see the chat is down at the bottom of the screen. And you can just go in there and you can write any questions that you would like. And then at the end, we will be able to go over any questions and you'll be able to get your questions answered then. So the presentation will last about 40 minutes. Slide presentation. I hope you find it really, really super interesting. I know you will. And I'm going to hand over to Sue. So a warm welcome to you, Sue. Mute. Sue, can't hear you. No. No.
That's because I'm mute. I was mute.
That's great. Start again. Start again.
Oh, I've done so many of these and I'm mute. Hi, everyone. I'll tell my story first. I found Juice Plus, or it sort of found me 17 years ago. I was born with a huge heart defect called an atrial septal defect. And I had the surgery at the age of 19. I was told that I would probably be in a wheelchair by the time I was 60. And I went looking for, first of all, fitness and then secondary health. And I had some other surgery after that. And it was at this time that I was thinking, I wasn't really happy with multivitamins and the sort of supplements that were around. And I was trying my best to eat as much real good, fresh, nutritious produce as possible. But it was in my mind that I needed some help. And I had an event on, and a marvelous lady called Sue McIntyre, who was a vet, a surgeon, a naturopath, and a nutritionist. She came along to the meeting and did a little talk on Juice Plus. And I stood at the back and I said to the person who brought her, you know, if I don't like this supplement, I'll put my hand up. Anyway, she started to talk about it and I thought, this is too good to be true. And that's where the story started. And by the time she finished, I just said, I'd like some of that. Don't care what it costs. I'd taken 10 ladies. I was organising the event and all 10 ladies bought it. So she persuaded me to be a distributor straight away. And that's how I started on the Juice Plus journey. I gave it to my whole family, but we were a few years before I sort of put it in my clinic properly. And then I started to work with sports people. And since then, I've had some remarkable results. So I'm going to show my screen with you now. Let me know if you can all see it. Okay, yeah, all good? Okay, so you'll be familiar with this slide, except I've added a bit extra. So first of all, it's a remarkable product. It's been remarkable from when I first found it, and it's even more remarkable now. Because some time ago, they discovered 13 vitamins. I think they've got 19 sort of vitamins altogether, although vitamin D, although it is a vitamin, acts more like an enzyme than a vitamin. But they found these vitamins and other nutrients, and they thought that was the route to health. And then they realized that there were 60 to 100,000 plant chemicals that had a big influence on this. And this is why fruits and vegetables, being told by your grandma and your grandma's grandmother, good for you, they were right. And this is why our product is the best product on the market. So what is the difference? I've added little bit to this slide as well. I want you to really get the message tonight that our product is pretty super. So it works completely with the body. The body expects to get whole food. It doesn't expect to get pieces of food. It doesn't expect to get fractionated. It doesn't like single substances. Other vitamins and minerals and compounds are very often made up of single substances. They're not in perfect doses for everybody. They have a warning label, and our body can't break them down. So fruits and vegetables are what our body needs, what they expect, and they can break them down. And the amazing invention of Juice Plus means that they're kept intact as much as possible, so the body has them as they're expecting them. Now, in these times, you have to be very careful of being compliant. The pharmaceutical companies are keener than ever watching companies, especially Juice Plus. They do not like our results of the science. They do not like how well we're doing. And if they can shoot us down, they will. So these are some statements I found. You can go to the World Health Organization and you can say this about fruits and vegetables. And what is it? Fruits and vegetables in a capsule. Pretty simple concept, yes? So you can say these things about fruits and vegetables. They've been proven and they're stated by the World Health Organization. So go and have a look for those and you can gather some statements and you know, but don't say it's Juice Plus, you say it's the fruits and vegetables inside Juice Plus. So there are loads of studies and we know the state of the population. It's not got any better. Even in lockdown when people are at home and they were doing more cooking and things, the nutrition is still not improved that much. And you can see by this study, the amount of vegetables not being eaten and the amount the youngsters are not eating. So what does Juice Plus do? And I use this statement over and over and over again. It bridges the gap between what we should be eating and what we actually do manage to eat every day. And that's what it did for me. I knew in the beginning that I could not get enough produce in my system, in my body, in a day. And that's what it does. It bridges the gap. And you can say that with absolute no problem at all. So the first thing that Juice Plus have done is that they grow the best possible products and produce to put in the capsules in the first place. So when I first started to take Juice Plus, they were mostly buying their produce to someone else. And the amazing thing about them is that they always grew the best variety. So a great example of this, and what the first thing that they started to grow themselves when they become growers, because what they've done is sort of adopted family farmers in America and other countries as well to become their growers. And one of the first crops they did this with was broccoli. Broccoli was first grown, it was yellow originally, broccoli, it wasn't green at all. And it's still grown in the fields in Greece in some places. And it looked a bit like purple sprouting, and it's no longer as yellow as it used to be in ancient times, but it is a sort of pale green. And you don't often see it in the shops because it's more expensive to grow because it takes more tending, and it takes longer to grow. And it doesn't look as green, so people think it's not as nutritious. In fact, it's very nutritious. And that's the first one that they took on for themselves and became growers with broccoli. And when you see the next slide, which is the cranberry farmer, you'll know what he says as well. So Juice Plus have become growers, and to ensure that not only is the produce fantastic quality, but on each project they grow the best possible variety. So this is a brilliant video of this farm, and the first time I saw this was in a big conference in Birmingham. This big field of cranberries came on the screen and I actually cried, and one of my team said, "You're not crying over cranberries, are you?" But it looked so amazing, the colour. So you hear him say on that very clearly that he grows the Belder variety of cranberries, which stays longer in the marsh and is more expensive to grow, but he grows it solely for Juice Plus customers. And that's what they do with all the produce. So first of all, when we get to the sciences, for the science to be used on the products and this product to be tested, first of all, they've got the best possible produce inside it. Now, this is about the science as well, because this is the certification we have. And SGS Institute Fresno is not an easy thing to get a certification for. They don't just rubber stamp any product. You have to jump through hoops to make sure that your product is stamped with this certification. It's the best in the world, and they are very meticulous. And that they look at things including the production, where it's grown, how it's juice dried, how it's traveled, the cleanliness and the packaging, and the ethics of the company. And that's how we got this certification. Then when I started to progress and grow my team, I had a lot of sports people in there. Before I even got the Paralympians, so I've looked after a few, but one in particular, who in 2 years and 2 months got a gold and 2 silvers for the UK. I was looking after a lot of golfers and particularly rugby players, and they were asking for this informed choice, and at that time we didn't have it. But just for the fact that sports people are taking it and it's stamped with informed choice, it means that we have got a product that's really good. Sports people are extremely discerning. They want to put the best in their body because they want the performance to be the best. So if they can't be persuaded by anything, by a cheap price or by them making money on it. The first thing they want is to have the quality of the product. And so we've got informed choice, which is fantastic. And this is the list of the products that it covers. And the athletes, there's many athletes that use Juice Plus now. All the sports, I think all the sports are just about covered by it. I've got so many cyclists, I can't tell you. They put it in their bike as their second drink and dilute it. And if they're competing, then they've got, even if they're competing as veterans, they've still got this lovely assurance that it's got the stamp of informed choice. And when Mark Colburn got the gold medal, the first thing they did was, when he got off his bike, is come with me, Mr. Colburn, to test him. And he was absolutely clear, because at the end of the day, he just had fruits and vegetables in his body. And what he did, how he used it on the last day, was he took 12 capsules in the morning, he took 2 scoops of shake, and he took 7 seconds of the world record at lunchtime. He then had to compete again at 6 o'clock to get, that was for silver or gold. And then he had to compete for gold again at 6 o'clock that evening. So then he slept for an hour, took 12 more capsules of Juice Plus, 2 more spoonfuls of shake, and went in and took another second off his own world record, which is just about unknown for a normal athlete, let alone an athlete who is recovering from a spinal injury. So it is a pretty dynamic project. So the first bit of science I'm going to talk about is the capsule. And Sue McIntyre, who brought me into the business with Gordon and James, we used to be nagging Juice Plus to death about a vegetarian capsule. Well, we've now got the best vegetarian capsule ever. It's made from fermented tapioca. It's called pullulan, and it's actually got a better oxygen barrier. The seal on it is even better than the old gelatin capsules. That's really important, because if you have any other product that has that has fruit vegetable powders, whether they're juice dried or dried anyway, in some kind of container, once you take the lid off that container and they get moisture and oxygen, they will start to deplete. So Juice Plus goes to the extra expense and the extra care of getting it encapsulated, and encapsulated perfectly in this amazing capsule. So we'll talk about the barrier on that for later on when I talk about the omegas. So all the powders are used in the gummies as well, the soft chews, which you know are integral to the Children's Health Study. So what have we got? We've got the most amazing products. We've got the produce. We've got the best variety of that produce. We've got it encapsulated in the best possible capsule, which is vegan and vegetarian, and with a great oxygen barrier so that those precious nutrients are kept safe. So what is the next thing we look at? And that's the food label. I know my friend Sue Aldridge is keen on labeling, but this is so misunderstood, and I get loads and loads of questions, and this is a question I get all the time. And it's a food label. It's not a supplement label. It's not a pharmaceutical label. It is a food label. So there's this site, you can find this site. You can go and look at it. It tells you how to read food labels. But the most important thing is where this says their daily value, that is called RA, or it's called GDA, which is reference intake or guided daily amount. Now, someone just last week said to me, this is the Juice Plus Vegetable Blend label. She said to me, is 71% of the capsule vitamin C then? And it's like, no, it's not 70% of the capsule. It's 70% of your daily intake. The amount of vitamin C in all that produce in the capsule is 71% of your recommended intake, of the reference intake for vitamins and the named vitamins, those antioxidant vitamins that are named there. So that's what you want to explain in the food label, and it's really good to know that. And if you're not sure, go to one of the sites and they'll tell you in detail how to read the food label. Okay, so this is the science. You'll see these on the website. These are the topics that are picked up. There's over 35 studies in total. But these are the studies, and there's more than one on a lot of these. And I'm going to give you some more information about them now. So the immune system, there is a brilliant video that you'll see a copy of later on by Manfred Lamfrack. And there are 4 studies on the immune system, and they're all brilliant studies. DNA protection. I did a post this week on LinkedIn about telomeres. Telomeres are the tips of our DNA. They're like the tops on shoelaces that stop our DNA from unraveling and deteriorating. And this shows that it protects those telomeres. It protects our DNA, the nutrition in Juice Plus. Skin health. Skin health is an amazing one because it's so demonstrative. It's so easy to see. It was done on the forearm of ladies, and it shows that there's better hydration in the skin, better skin depth, better coloration, better appearance, and most important, better circulation. So if we've got greater circulation in our skin, which covers our whole body, we've got greater circulation in our organs. And if you've got people who are already sick with things like diabetes, that's going to help that circulation so they don't get their diabetic neuropathy or eventually lose their left foot or their leg. It does help towards that. It doesn't cure it, but it does help towards that. Dental health. There are several studies on dental health. My husband is a great testimony to the dental health. He had gingivitis when I found Juice Plus. And I was talking to a dentist who was already using Juice Plus, and he became my dentist for a while. And my husband started to take it, Keats and my husband. And the next appointment, he was surprised at how gingivitis had completely disappeared. There are lots on oxidative stress and vascular health. This is what attracted me, is that the circulation and the health of our vessels, our vascular health, and therefore our heart. There are a lot of studies on cardiovascular health with Juice Plus, and hopefully there'll be even more. So these studies are gold standard studies. They are done all around the world, and there are more than 35 of them now. So what does it mean, a gold standard study? And what does it mean, an independent study? So first of all, gold standard means that they have a placebo, and they are crossover, double-blind tested, so that the people who are taking it doesn't know whether it's a placebo or the real thing, and that the placebos are really good. Sue Aldridge showed me one day, and it is brilliant. It looks just like the actual capsules. You wouldn't tell the difference. So that they don't know whether the people taking it don't know whether it's a placebo, and the people doing the study, actually monitoring them and guiding the study, don't know either. And then after 6 weeks on most of them, sometimes it's a bit different, they swap over. So then they give the placebo to the ones who had it, and they give the Juice Plus to the ones who didn't have it. And then they look at the results. And because of that study, we know that Juice Plus takes about 6 weeks to leave your system. So if you've got someone who cancels, I always send them a note with a little graph on it, and it shows you the difference of what your blood looks like when you take Juice Plus and when you didn't, for quite a few antioxidants. It's an old graph, but it still works. And I send them the graph, and I send them a little message, and I say, thank you for taking Juice Plus. Feel free to come back at any time. You probably won't find a difference straight away because it takes quite a while to leave your system, about 6 weeks in total, when your bloods will now go back where they were. And that very often is enough to make them think, oh, maybe I shouldn't stop. And I've often stopped them cancelling, or they've said, oh, I'll just have a month off. They've had a month off and come back. And if they come back, they don't go off again. Because if they go off and notice the difference, then they don't like it. So it's a great little thing to remind them, because it's absolutely true that it leaves your system. It does take some weeks to go. So the universities and institutions that do the studies, they take on the study, and there's at least one or two, maybe there's three, I'm not quite sure, where Juice Plus didn't even know they were doing the study until it had already started and underway. And one of those studies was a study on studies. So it was a study done on all the studies on fruits and vegetables. I think there were 24 studies, and 22 of them were Juice Plus studies. So without having to ask anyone, or without having to try and do it in-house ourselves, which doesn't look as good, a university decided to look at all our studies, and they came out with flying colours. They came out with a fantastic report. So the universities and institutions, once they do the study, it belongs to them. It does not belong to Juice Plus anymore. And whatever they publish is, whatever they find is what they publish. So Juice Plus is so confident about their product, they are happy to give it to the universities and institutions and say, find what you can with it. And it's proved amazingly successful for them because the product is such an amazing product. So you can feel more and more secure in that what we put in the capsule, what we're putting in our body is truly the best we possibly can have. So the ongoing studies are these three. There might be some more now. I did ring the office, but I didn't get through in time to see if there were any new studies coming up, but I will find out and tell James for the future. But these are three great studies that are going on. And it's really exciting, the Omega studies. It's an ongoing study, but what's really exciting about it is the fact that they're using it in conjunction with the premium capsules, because the body works in synergy, and all the nutrients work in synergy. And when you put in Omega's blend with all the nutrients in the premium capsules, I think they're going to find something pretty amazing. And we've had a bit of an inkling of what's gone on the study so far, because James, you posted an interview, didn't you, with them? Can't remember who it was with now, but an interview. He said they were thrilled with the results so far. But we've got to be extremely careful what we say and how compliant we are, and we'll be told what we can say when the time is right. So the next one is on a really exciting one as well, because I found that a lot of my patients and clients have come off antidepressants once they're on Juice Plus. I mean, there's got to be some feel-good factor in that. They're losing weight, they're looking better, they've got more energy, they're feeling better. And there's some weight behind that they're not as depressed, but the situation hasn't changed. And there are too many of them to think it's completely unrelated. But this study is looking at the psychological functions, and I'd be really interested to see what happens with that. I mean, that's pretty exciting. And then the last one is on oxidative stress. But there is so many dimensions to oxidative stress. It's responsible for us dying, really. It's responsible for how we age, how well we age, how old we are when we die, how we live our lives. It's responsible for everything. So the more studies on that, the better. And there hasn't been one for a few years. So I'm looking forward to that study as well. So I don't know if you knew, but did you know there is a Juice Plus Science Institute? I didn't know until fairly recently. But the Juice Plus Science Institute is founded by the Juice Plus company, and it was created to help advance and promote the latest discoveries and research from the growing body of plant research, from seed to plant to human body. And it's not just research in Juice Plus. Now, this is an in-house study. This is not an independent study when they do it there. But they're not just looking at Juice Plus. They're looking at all plants. They're looking at plants in the tower gardens, they're looking at plants grown in the fields, they're looking at lots of things, not just Juice Plus. But how amazing, isn't it, to have our own Institute of Science as well, where we can help everybody in the world, whether they take Juice Plus or not eventually, by the information we gather from there. So this is the most exciting thing that I found with Juice Plus. And I knew about PubMed a little while after I started to take it. And I don't know if anyone understands PubMed and the association with something called Medline, but I'll explain to you now. So there's a website and a resource called PubMed, and it's a place where they record. It's like an international library. It's in America, but it's a worldwide library of all scientific and not quite so scientific, all papers, study papers, and that are produced that are published in journals. And you have to be pretty good to get in there. But even when you're in there, some studies are better than others in there. And that is linked to something called Medline. And Medline is where only the good studies are listed. Only the sort of A1 studies, the studies that are done by top universities. They have gold standard. They are conducted properly. They put all their things in a row, all their ducks in a row. They've got all the certifications, and it's written in such a way and in so much depth that it's granted as a top study. And most of them take at least 5 years, these studies. So if you've got studies and they're listed in PubMed, they're in journals, and there's a way of scoring that, the way of scoring what that study scores on a Medline scale. So if you've got journals with a study that is being mentioned by another study, so you have to have your study, first of all, get into PubMed, then be good enough to be listed in Medline. But then if other studies are mentioned in your study, in science, they love the same answer come from two different sources, and they love to be mentioned in other people's studies. So if another scientific body thinks yours is so good, they'll mention your results and your study in their study. You get 1 point. So you get a score of 1 on the Medline score. So if you've got lots of studies in the journal in there, then you can have more. So if you have anything with a score of 10, that's thought to be pretty special. So Juice Plus asked this doctor, Dr. Tolza, who is a cardiologist and was one of the first doctors to operate on a tiny baby, cardiovascular problems. Amazing doctor, and has a huge clinic and is world renowned. They asked him to look at, to tell them about how Juice Plus scores. So he was explaining about how this scoring comes about, and that there is a paper that scored 28, and that was thought to be the second in the world on papers. But if you score Juice Plus through Medline, it scores at more than 100. And the researcher who asked to do it looked at it several times because he was absolutely taken aback. So you can say that without doubt, you have got the best product, food products in the world with Juice Plus. This is a video, so this is the link to the video. If James wants me to send him any bits of this, I can't send the whole package, but I'll send some bits of information that might be useful. I can send you the link to that. But if you put in YouTube, Juice Plus Medline score, that video will come up and you can listen to it. So the other thing to look at more information and to listen to some of the top doctors. And if you love the science as I do, I'm passionate about the whole product and about nutrition, but I do love the science. So if you want to know more, there's the American site, and you know how to get onto the American site. You go on your office, go to the globe, go to the US, and then if you go to Revolution, what it's called, it's changed its name, you'll see it, something Revolution it's called, above on the left-hand side. and you start scrolling down and go into the library there and scroll down even further, you'll find 12 videos, recordings of top doctors from mostly America, but Canada and other countries as well, talking about their expertise and just how good Juice Plus is scientifically. They've each got accolades in their own field. And if they say this about the product, and they all use it in their practices, they're not under the NHS, so they all have to buy the supplements in America and Canada. So they use it in their practice, and they just tell people to buy the Juice Plus. But there are lots of videos there. And these two videos, I started to watch them all, because what I discovered was, I saw this video and it's called Bridge the Gap, and that's so old. It's been around 9 years, and I didn't watch it for a while. And then I thought, I'll just have a look at it, see if there's anything new added. And it's brand new, and it is brilliant. It's got so much information. It takes you through all the growing, the encapsulating, gives you some brilliant tips on it, and it's a really good video. And this one is another one, starting with the growing. This lady, I believe, is an athlete, and she's talking about the goodness in Juice Plus and how it's grown, the importance of the produce that's put in it. So these are two great videos to look at and to use. The videos at the bottom, you won't find them. You have to go right to the bottom and then click on the end bar that comes down. You'll find it if you go searching. But it's called Taking Healthy Back, Health Revolution. And there are all these doctors' videos. Do not put them on Facebook. Do not put them in your groups, because some of them are an hour long, and people are going to lose the will to live and not watch them. But if you've got a few people and you want to show people the science, or if you've got a nutritionist or a chiropractor or a physiotherapist or a dentist, it's worth sending them a copy in their discipline. So it's a great thing to have, and it's great for your own knowledge anyway. So this is where I found all of these. And this is Manfred Lamfreck. Now, Manfred Lamfreck was the director of science in Graz University, and he was involved with one of the studies there and was really, really impressed by Juice Plus. And Juice Plus found him, and I believe he was thinking of semi-retiring or something. And so Juice Plus persuaded him to go and work for them. And what he does is, because he is a researcher, a clinical researcher, been involved in research for many years, he can translate the science in the research papers, because some of the abstracts are quite easy to read and others are quite complicated to read. What they're trying to say is hard to get out of it. So what he does, he translates it and he interprets what the studies are saying. And these are not very long. They're beautifully done, and they're great to send to potential customers or distributors. And it gives them fantastic knowledge and understanding of why we need Juice Plus, why we can't get enough produce in our bodies today. And what I didn't mention before on the video with the cranberry grower was the most important thing about the produce is that the nutrition comes in the last few days. It's the last few days is when all the nutrition is in there, and all the products we have from supermarkets and grocers, they are never left on the vine or the tree or the field for the last few days, because if they were, they wouldn't last to be shipped to us. So our produce is picked too soon, traveled too far, stored for too long, and then we overcook it and kill it mostly as well. So it is a big struggle. And this really explains what the difference is and what Juice Plus does. Fascinating. There's one particular video that is very, very, very interesting. It's about epigenetics and epigenomics, and they now know that they know for a while that it's not our ancestors, what was on our ancestors' genes, it's on our ancestors' plates and how they live their lives that we inherit our health. And the environment beats genetics hands down. We can make a difference. So my family was full of strokes and heart attacks. No one got to 60, never mind 73, in my family, before having a stroke or a heart attack. And so it doesn't mean that I necessarily have to, because I've lived my life differently and I Juice Plus. So the next step is that they found that when this we put the goodness in, that the computer says yes or no, the gates change and the choices change, and that changes for good. And we can instead of it saying yes, you are likely to have a heart attack, it changes to be no, you're less likely to have a heart attack. And there are over 600 genetic changes that they can see and they can measure people taking Juice Plus. And they know now that that will travel down not just to your children, so your children's children. So I did a presentation the other day saying you are what your grandparents ate, not you are what you eat. So, and there were a group of men I was talking to, and there's a lovely guy in my team called Tony Darlington. And in lockdown, he'll be the first one to admit he was a couch potato. He'd had a stroke a while ago. He was quite overweight. His legs were getting bad. He wasn't walking. He couldn't walk. Shopping was too much for him. He was getting to be pretty poorly. And then he went to the GP and he told him he was diabetic. So he asked me to help. And we turned him around completely in the first 3 months of lockdown. He went from being diabetic to no longer diabetic, on no diabetic meds. His blood pressure tablets have reduced, and he's come off everything else. And is now cooking everything from scratch, and lost 2 stone 4 pounds and walks 5 miles. So what we do and how we treat our body can make a difference. So have a look and listen to some of those and make some notes from them, because the science is pretty dynamic. So this is just the reports of the Children's Health Study. So you can go and look at those at your leisure. I've got this up. I'm not going to go into the details of complete shakes. I'm sure you know it inside out, but I'm going to mention the sugar, because I get this all the time saying there's too much sugar in it. There's too much sugar in it. And people are neurotic about sugar. We cannot live without glucose. Our brain mostly only burns glucose. We need sugar, but what we don't need is highly refined sugar and fructose and other sort of converted types of sugar. We need to have raw cane sugar, and we need to have it in a way that it has protein and it has fiber with it. And fiber is really important, and we are very short of fiber in our diet a lot of the time. So it has 21 grams now. It's been changed recently. It used to be 27. So it's 21 grams of sugar. And they removed 6 grams, but they had to jump through hoops to get that certified, because when you have a meal replacement product, doesn't matter. When you have a meal replacement product, it has to have a certain amount of sugar and fat and protein in it. And they didn't want it to be reduced, but they managed to get it reduced and still certified as a meal replacement. It's 21 grams, but 12 of those grams come from milk. And that's the sugar in the milk, which is lactose. And this lactose is used for lots of things. So sometimes you'll see it's natural sugar and it'll actually be lactose. So you've got to be careful of that if you're going dairy free. But this is 12 grams of lactose. So actually there's only 9 grams of sugar in it. But the most important thing is that it's low glycemic index. And Tony used this for 2 meals a day for 3 months, and he's no longer diabetic. And what I say to diabetics is, when they start to use Juice Plus, is to be careful when they do their insulin in the morning. If they're not on a pump, or they're not on a mixed night and day, if they're just injecting for their food, just to have a little bit less, because it doesn't take as much as a normal meal. And the only problem I've had is that they've got too little sugar. They've over injected for it. And I've taken, I must have done 20 or more, turn people around from being diabetic to non-diabetic. If they turn their whole way of life around, and that, it is brilliant. So here's the amount of sugars here. But you must be mindful that I don't use cow's milk. I don't use dairy at all. I do use butter, but nothing else. But you've got to be careful with the nut milks as well. There is quite a lot of sugar in them, but they're fine. I use half milk and half water, and it works very well. And there's plenty of calories and plenty of nutrition there for anyone. So that's the complete. This is just I'm just going to show you the sweetener in there is stevia. They've added that lately just to give it enough sweetness because they took some grams out. Stevia is a plant, and of all the sweeteners, that's the only one that I'll ever use in anything. So that's what they've put, just a tiny bit of stevia in there. The bars are really good. I'm not going to go into details of those. You know what they're like. They're delicious, but the most important thing about them is they're not empty calories. They're full of good nutrition. So instead of filling yourself with a packet of crisps or a bar of Cadbury's chocolate, it's a snack full of good nutrition. The soups are very versatile. I use the soups a lot in the winter. I don't know if I'll use them this winter, but I used to travel around a lot more and doing so much more on Zoom. Now it's not true. But I used to use them a lot. I used to go to Starbucks and meet a lot of hockey players. And I used to take well, I still will if I'm meeting anyone, take the Juice Plus soup with me, get a cup of tea, leave the tea bag out and mix it in that. And Dan Furlong, who's one of my frontline, Dan did 2 years ago, he did 14 marathons in 17 days in Nepal, and he used the soup as recovery. He found it easy to use and he liked it cold, so he just had this soup. And then last year he did 6 marathons in 7 days, I believe it is, in the Amazon jungle, of all things. Nearly fell down some awful chasm, and came in 10th, which is remarkable because the others are seasoned marathon runners. The doctors there were several doctors doing it. They all thought he was stark raving mad drinking cold soup, but everybody got an award for the most happy, the most problems, whatever, and he got the award for being the fastest recovering every day because they couldn't believe how quickly he recovered. So soups are amazing, and they've got very, very similar powders to the complete. The boosters, they do have some palm oil in them. It's not refined palm oil, and it's from a sustainable source. It's not depleting jungles or anything, and it's a tiny amount. It's not my favorite of the products. I don't use it at all. I think I've only ever used it once with one client, but some people love it and they use it. But if you do use it, make sure you drink plenty of water and do not put the powder straight into your mouth. Not good at all. It's got glucomannan. Everybody thinks this is a pineapple, and it's not. It's a root of a plant. Glucomannan is a very good source of fiber. It's great fiber. If you've ever bought no-calorie rice, that's what it's made. No-calorie noodles, rather. That's what it's made from. It's made from completely glucomannan, and they just grow it in the fields in Japan, pull it out of the ground, and then they shred it, and it goes into tubes and things, and it's really versatile. So omegas, I absolutely love the omegas. I love the premium and I love the omegas. And when they came out, I thought, I might have to take some fish oil as well, but I certainly don't. And it's the one thing I find that when you give people, you get an immediate reaction. They find the difference straight away. Sometimes with the premium, it takes a while. The only person I had an immediate reaction from was Mark Colburn, the Olympic athlete. He was under a lot of recovery. He was hammering his body. He put the capsules in and noticed a difference after 3 days. But I've never had that with anyone else. But I've had this with the omegas. So the biggest difference in our omega is schizachytrum. Schizachytrum is algae, and it's not even grown in the sea. It's grown outside the sea. It's not easy to grow. It's not cheap to grow, but it is grown and harvested and farmed in a beautiful, pristine way. And it's got great omega-3 in it because it's the ancient and the purest source of omega-3. It's what fish eat to get their omega-3. So not only are we not killing the fish, but we're not interrupting the oceans either. And once again, the capsules are made from this fermented tapioca as polylan. And the other great quality about the polylan is that It's quite sticky and it needs very, very little heat, just a slight bit of warmth to make it stick together, make it adhere. And with other capsules, they did it on Horizon. They did a study on Horizon, and when they tested the capsules, they had cheap ones, medium, and more expensive ones, and 2 from the most expensive range and 1 from the cheapest range. When they tested the oils inside, it was rancid, it was damaged, because the heat process to encapsulate the gelatin capsules and is so hot that it's Russian roulette. So when you take those, you never know whether you're taking something that's good for you or actually bad for you, because once that oil is damaged, it's not good at all. So the omegas are, once again, not fractionated. They use the whole of the plants and the seeds, and they take the seeds and they get the oil from the seeds, or they take the plant and get the oil from the plant, or they use the plant. And it's like everything else. We need omega-3, yes, and we've studied omega-3. Yeah, we've studied some of the others as well, like 7 and 9, eyesight, brain health, all sorts of things. But what we do know is that it's synergenic again. Why are we picking up the omega-3? Because it's often found with the other omegas. Sea buckthorn has got almost all the omegas in it. I don't think it has 3, it has all of those in it. Sea buckthorn is another one that's hard to grow and it's expensive, but a great source of omegas. So it's the whole thing. It's how our body expects to receive it and how our body easily processes it. It's got all these different qualities. I won't read them out because you can read them on the website. And when taken in conjunction with the premium, I believe it's fantastic. And I sometimes take 3. Since lockdown, I've been running every single day. I've been out today. I did 6K today. I'm averaging about 40K a week. I'm sort of running, but I live on the edge of forestry, so I'm up over tree roots and through hedges and things and over fields. So if I've got a HIIT class and I do a run, and I take another omega that day. And this is the beautiful produce that's in the omegas. They changed it slightly. That's the other amazing thing about Juice Plus and their research. The research is continuous and they keep changing things. For example, their source of folate. They found that some babies are susceptible to different syndromes, and one of them is affected by folic acid, and so where they get the folic from makes a difference. So they get it from lemon peel now, and so all their source of folate is now from lemon peel and not the source of just folic acid they used before. So pomegranate oil, safflower oil, sea buckthorn, it's not in the sea, it's not growing in the sea at all. I don't know why it's called sea buckthorn, maybe it grows by the sea. But beautiful plant and expensive oil, but it's all in there and it's all brilliant. And I've even broken them open and taken the oil, whereas I used to take fish oil and it's pretty disgusting. But it's lovely and it actually tastes of oranges if you've not taken them, you want to try. So the last one is Uplift. Sorry, I'm still getting used to the name, Uplift. And when this came out, I was concerned again because I'm such a fanatic about the science and about not putting sugars in and not putting unnecessary things in it. And I thought, if it's an energy drink, you've got to have sugar in there. There's got to be sugar in there. There's got to be caffeine. I'm really sensitive to caffeine. And I love this thing. I am hooked on it. I have to say, don't love the taste. It's okay. But I drink it in my water bottle, and it's probably the smell that I don't like, because I don't mind it drinking it in the water bottle. But it is amazing. And I find that I've done lots of meetings at night. I've got some new team in America and I'm talking to them at midnight. And I'm just as alert. If I have one of those at 11:30, 12 o'clock, then I'm alert until the end of the day. And once again, they've done the best possible produce in there. It's low sugar, it's only 2.5 grams. It's gluten-free, GMO-free, no artificial coloring and preservatives. And the folic acid, again, is from lemon peel. It's less than 30 calories per serving, and it's the caffeine comes from yerba mate tea. And I don't find I get the shakes at all. I don't get palpitations, which I do if I drink a coffee. And it's just brilliant. And particularly for women, because we all get affected by B vitamins, and B vitamins are a very, very important group of vitamins, and they have enormous properties, all of them. And it is full of B vitamins, and it's just brilliant. So if anyone's going into menopause, or they're premenstrual or anything like that, these B vitamins really help, and it makes a difference. And I find they're a great aid to weight loss. I think they're infinitely better than the boosters, because when I have the uplift before my lunch, I don't eat lunch till 2 o'clock because I feel I'm quite full. It seems to make me full, but also it gives me energy. And so I have a very light lunch then about 2 o'clock. And it's got raspberry in it. It's got lots of great things in it. And I think because it gives you this energy, because it stops you being lethargic, I believe it is a really great aid to losing a few pounds. And it works really well with the Complete. So these are all on the website. There isn't a new, this is the original presentation. There isn't a new presentation, but it says everything about it in there, and you can just read all the facts. But it is an amazing product. I take it just about every day now, and I've got a lot of people who are starting to take it and giving up coffee, which I think is great, because coffee is an antioxidant, but only when it's first roasted. Once beans have been roasted, then they oxidize just like everything else. So coffees have antioxidants, yes, but the older the coffee, the less they've got, and then the not so good for you they are. And a high amount of caffeine is not so good in your system. So I just put this one in the end when I saw James's message, which is really, really exciting. And that is that we can, from next month, anyone who's SC or above can buy a tower garden. So I've got a tower garden, but I will probably buy another one. My tower garden was one of the big American ones. It's 7 foot tall, and being 5 foot tall myself, I can't reach the top. So I've passed it on to my one of my frontliners who's got a Victorian house and a high ceiling, and she's a herbiculturist, so she's got mine. So I would probably be buying a little tower garden. And I just found this on here. So it's I'm sure there's lots more research, but there's some great research already done. So it says traditional agriculture uses approximately 80% of our water. This is a serious problem, especially for Western states. It's in America, obviously, where water is already in short supply. The good news, NASA found that aeroponic technology uses 98% less water. I mean, that's amazing, isn't it? 98% less water. And the tower garden yield increases by about 30%. Plants grow 3 times faster. I can vouch for that. They certainly grow very fast. And they take up 90% less space, and you get less pests and pollution. And they look really pretty in your room as well. So yeah, roll on the tower garden. It's fantastic. So my last slide is about why I use it. I love the product. I'll never stop using it. And I use the product in my business because I experience great health benefits from it. I would never be without it now. I work with the body and as close to the body as possible with all my programs and my plans. And it's just a perfect fit. It makes complete sense. The science proves and confirms my confidence in the products every day. I learn some more. My clients are having fantastic results. It's made my job of helping people gain greater health much, much easier. It's a solid, ethical company with a great track record. The income enables me to get to far more people and give services free. That's how I found and helped Tony. I do some free work for a group of people coming off antidepressants. I'm now addicted to good health and vitality for life. I believe it would find it very difficult to sustain my lifestyle, my exercise, and the way I live if I didn't take Juice Plus. So in recent times, I have stopped my clinics. My main one's about 4 years ago. And then the other local ones about a year and a bit ago. I've had a couple of years where I've taken my foot off Juice Plus a bit because I've been building a resource called Health Hub Academy. There's a free Facebook group. You're all more than welcome to join. There are free PDFs in there on bits on Juice Plus, but on lots of other science information as well. Please feel free to join it. There will be 1,000 posts in the actual resource, and you can be a member of that for $9.99. We've got a health advisory board with a professor of child health, GPs, chiropractors, physiotherapists, sports psychiatrists. It's a brilliant resource. I launched it 2 weeks with 2 directors before lockdown, thinking I'd build it over the next 2 years, and it's going ballistic. So I've now got a full-time job to try and complete this. But if anyone wants to know any more about it, please get in touch. And if you want to join our free Facebook group, be delighted to see you in there. And that's about it from me.
Wow, Sue, that was amazing. I've had so many messages and there've been so many chats to say from people, Sue, this is incredible. And I have to say, I looked at the clock and it was like 9 o'clock. And I feel like we've only been going for about 5 minutes. It's just been so full of the most incredible information. And, you know, I've been involved with Juice Plus for a long time. I don't think I've ever heard anything as comprehensive as this. And also going into so many different areas that I've never really, you know, understood. I mean, I didn't know anything about the Science Institute. I certainly didn't understand about med, you know, the med thing and all that. So you really explained it beautifully. So let's just open it up now, everyone. But we're not going to open up for, you know, speaking. But if you've got any questions, let us fire away. So, Sue, just before, as people are putting in their questions, so do please put your questions in, everyone. Sue, what is the number one question that you find people ask you about Juice Plus, generally speaking?
Why do I need it? I think that's the most common question.
Why do I need it? Yeah, okay. And what do you say to that?
Yeah, they come with various, if they're coming to me as a nutritionist, if they're chatting to me as a friend, it goes across both of them. I recommend it to everyone without question now. When I first did it, I didn't do that, but I have many, many years. And they say, well, why do I need Juice Plus? I eat fruits and vegetables. And an awful big percentage of that. And even the ones who don't eat fruits and vegetables, they say, well, why do I need it? Why can't I just take some vitamin C? And that's the biggest question I get most often, I think. And I use different answers all the time. All the bits I've said for different reasons, depending on what the person is, I tell them, explain one aspect of it, you know? So if they're, the other thing they mostly say is that, you know, it's expensive. And I never say, oh no, it's not. I say, well, I thought that as well, but I used to buy a big fruit bowl full of fruits and vegetables and then throw them away at the end of the week because I didn't have time to eat them. And that's quite common as well. And they sort of get on board with that one.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just go through just a few of the questions. Someone was just asking, what is the Facebook group called again?
It's called Health Hub Academy. Health Hub Academy.
Health Hub Academy. Okay, so that's really great. Yeah. And then the other thing, Daniel was just asking, so the shakes contain milk, is that correct?
No, they don't contain milk. The shakes are powder, but you should put milk in them. When you swap out a meal, if you're swapping out a meal, it's supposed to be skimmed milk that you use, but I don't do dairy and I don't recommend dairy either, especially drinking just the milk of the dairy. I use butter. So I use coconut milk, but you can use almond milk, and I use half milk and half water. So you add that to the shake.
Yeah. And Sue, Carl asks, where do you get graph pictures from? So you've got a lot of graphs and things in there. Can anyone see in more detail some of the graphs that you were using tonight?
Various places. I do screenshots sometimes and pick segments up, you know. I've got a MacBook Air, and I'm pretty good with that. but I've collected them over the years. I've been 20 years collecting pictures, you know, so I've got whole libraries of pictures.
Sue, the American website is very, very comprehensive, isn't it? I mean, far more
Yes.
comprehensive than the UK one.
Yeah.
Can you tell us very quickly, if people are saying, well, I really would like a lot more information about the science of Juice Plus in a more technical way. I know all the studies are highlighted in real detail on the American site.
Well, it's where they are, the site that they're on as well. We haven't got time now, have we? Because it's 9:30. If you go onto the website, if you go onto your office site and you change it to the American site, they changed the titles at the top recently because they took down the last conference information. I think it's called Wellness Revolution on the top. If you click on there and just follow it right down through, first of all, it goes through videos. And on the first lot of videos, there's every profession. There's guys in the forces and women in the forces. There's doctors. There's business people, executives. There's teachers. There's housewives. There's older generation. There's videos from all of those testimonials. And they're great to show to people. That's usable. Then there's the whole batch on the research where I took a screenshot of those with Manfred Lamfreck on, and all those studies are together there. And then the last one is, if you go right down, there's these videos from the Wellness Revolution that it's called Taking Healthy Back. And Dr. Mitra Ray and Victor Boyce and the dentist guy, and all of them have done, all the doctors you see, and many you don't know, have done videos about their specific discipline, like cardiovascular health or dentistry or whatever, on Juice Plus and why they use it. There's also things like keto diet versus Kickstart or Shred 10. There's also things like the soy, why soy is good. And I didn't say that, but there is soy in Juice Plus. And soy is used by the MD Anderson Center, the very famous cancer center, and women recovering from breast cancer, from cervical cancer, did the Juice Plus study, and they were really beneficial. But the soy, there's two kinds of soy, and they're very different. It's pristinely grown for Juice Plus and cold water washed, and that's why the soy in that is good, whereas some cheap soy you might pick up is not so good.
Well, Sue, you have been utterly amazing. I think we could really talk all night, but obviously we haven't got all of that time. And also we want to get the video down to a reasonably concise 1 hour, which we've been on. I can't believe we've been on for an hour, but it's just been incredible. So I think everyone, Sue, would join me on the call to thank you enormously for your time, your effort, your energy, but also your attention to detail, which has just been absolutely phenomenal. And thank you for bringing this very, very rich presentation to us tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so it is recorded, everyone. I'll put it out there. If I don't manage to reach you with it, then private message me on Facebook and I'll get it over to you. So thank you, everyone, very much. And thank you, too. Good night. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.